it's that time of year when couples are saying I do, but the cost of those weddings can last a lot longer, sometimes longer than the wedding and the marriage, if you aren't smart about how you are spending and what you're spending your money on. Well, wedding planner Jamie O'Donnell is here with some helpful tips to help you save a buck or two.
Yes.
Good morning.
Good morning. How are you? It's so good to see you.
Good. When planning a wedding, there's so much to consider, but you say the most important thing, Jamie, is setting your budget.
Yes, this is critical. It's absolutely the most important thing, and I tell all my couples, you really need to pick a number that you feel comfortable with, and then you need to also pick a number that you absolutely cannot go past.
Okay.
Because sometimes there's a few things in there that you want to splurge a little on, and it might take you over that initial number, but you need to know that number that I can absolutely never go past this amount.
Yeah, and you were saying if there's something that you really like, if you're a flower person, then spend more on flowers, but just cut back on something else, right?
Yes. So the key to starting any budget is that you can always take 50% out as food and beverage. So say your budget is $50,000, you automatically want to take out $25,000 to food and beverage, and then you have $25,000 to play with on everything else that you may want to have in your wedding. So that's where if you're a flower person, you spend more on flowers, or if you're a foodie, you spend more on food, and you kind of work on it that way.
So do you think it's a good idea to hire a wedding planner to help guide you along this process?
I definitely do, and there's several reasons why. Number one, a wedding planner is your best advocate. They're the ones that are going to understand what you need, what the venue requires, all those different types of details that you wouldn't necessarily know. And then they also work with credible vendors that they have relationships with, and then they actually really negotiate your contracts for you and read your contracts and make sure that you're protected and that you understand everything that's going into that.
Like, say for you, for instance, Jamie, you I've been there, done that. I know what all this means. For me, when I got married, it was really overwhelming and confusing because it's the first time I've ever done it.
Exactly.
So, and you brought up contracts. I want to add, a lot of times when you're looking at those contracts, there are a lot of pluses at the end of the quote. What does that mean?
Okay, this is another critical piece of information because it can really swing your budget if you don't understand it. So the plus after every number, so say your menu price is $100, then there's going to be a plus, which is the service fee, and then there's going to be the tax, which is the other plus. So what you think we are planning, if you have 100 guests at $100, is $10,000, but it's really not, because once you add the $100 plus $24 in service fee and the tax on top of that, you're at $132 per person. So you've actually swung your budget by an additional $3,200.
Wow.
That if you didn't calculate for that, you're going to go over
That's
budget.
huge. Okay, we just have a few seconds left, but let's break down some of the basics here. Open bar versus consumption bar. Which one's better?
Okay, so this is a really great thing to talk about. Consumption bar, when you initially look at it, say it's $30 per person, you could think that is a huge number to work with. But when you look at your personality of your group, do you have a high drinking group or do you have a low drinking group? It's really going to depend on details like that of whether or not, because you could go consumption bar, which means you're paying per drink on every single drink, and you could end up with a larger bill
if you have heavy drinkers.
If you have heavy drinkers than if you went with open bar. So it's really kind of one of those balance scales.
Okay, and finally, should we do plated dinners or buffet?
Yes. So there's also miscalculation that you think a plated dinner is going to be more expensive than a buffet. That's not always necessarily true, because in a buffet, the chefs don't know exactly what people are going to eat, so they actually have to prepare more food to gauge, and not run out. Whereas a plated, you know exactly what you're getting. It's all portioned, so they know exactly how to work with the cost. So technically, it's really not that big of a difference between a plated and a buffet. And it also depends on your environment and, again, the personality of your group.
So much to keep in mind. That's why you need a wedding planner like Jamie. Where can people find you, hon?
You can find me at jamieo.co, and please feel free to send me any of your questions. Contact me through there, and I'll be happy to answer you and help you out.
Always great advice. Thank you, Jamie.
Thanks.
All right, it is 9:48.